All right, so go ahead and start the recording. Good morning, I'm Stephen Datz, Chair of the Awards Committee. I'd like to call the December 1st, 2022 awards meeting to order. We have a physical quorum represented by Ricky Erickson, Joe Arfano, and myself. We also have Janie Smalley representing Laura Shepis, Sean Connor for High Vu that are joining us online. The Office of General Counsel is represented by Rebecca Levy. Budget is represented by Sarah Goodwin. And before we begin reviewing today's agenda, I'll note that there isn't anyone physically present for public comment. Victoria, did you receive any public comment via email?
No.
All right, let the record show we did not receive any public comment. I'll pause for a moment to allow callers joining us online to unmute and speak up. Hearing no comments, we'll proceed with today's regular agenda. Note that award item 7 has been deferred. We have items 1 through 6 and 8 through 12 that have been reviewed by Procurement and Budget. These items are now ready to be reviewed by the Awards Committee, beginning with item 1, representing the minutes from the November 17th, 2022 Awards Committee meeting. Are there any comments or corrections to be discussed? All right, hearing none, may I get a motion to approve award item 1?
Joe Arfano, so moved.
And a second?
Ricky, second.
We have a motion from Joe Arfano, a second from Ricky Erickson. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Minutes are approved as presented. I'll pass it over to Jenny McCollum, our Chief Procurement Officer, to present each of the remaining items before I ask for a motion, beginning with item 2.
Thank you. Through the chair, award number 2 is a single source. This is for our CGI field management system. It's our FMS and CAD software support
agreement. Leave me a message and I'll return your call as soon as possible.
We have got, this is our software that supports and enables mapping technology for JEA's field technicians. The software vendor provides field personnel required details associated with their daily work assignments. The CAD and the outage management system are the main components of FMS that are tightly coupled with JEA's customer support satisfaction. So CGI Technologies and Solutions, Inc. is our recommended awardee in the amount of $422,964. This is just a one-year award, and a little bit of history for this one. The Awards Committee has approved the use of CGI suite of products and support for over 10 years on a proprietary single source basis. This one-year one-year single source award is to maintain existing support. The terms and the conditions of the current software agreement will remain the same. However, we are seeing an increase in price of about 28%. Some of it based on a CCPI index increase of 3%, which is just a small portion of it. But then we also have about $82,000 for an extended usage fee. That is to continue to support JEA and to maintain an upgrade path for us, because I believe we're out of, they don't support our version right now. So this would maintain the upgrade path for us. And what the plan is to invoice for the next maintenance period, but we'll pay maintenance period by each kind of period, so that if we decide that we want to upgrade the system, we can kind of turn that usage, the extended usage fee, and try to leverage that against the cost of the upgrade project. I'll just note also that JEA completed an RFI, request for information, in FY22 to explore other products in the market, but we were delayed, on the C2M side, and so we delayed the RFP process, which was intended for FY22. So this buys us some time, gives us that path if we decide we want to upgrade, or if we decide we want to try to explore other options, it gives us some time to do that as well. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, this is Ricky, Jenny. I'm reading in the write-up. it does mention there's a budget shortage, and it says that's been resolved. I just want to confirm that's the case.
Yes, this has been approved through budget.
Okay. Normally, we can't move forward unless we have all the funds, and this is a little
Yeah.
different.
I think what they're trying to point out is what they had budgeted for FY23 based off of the old price was short. Likely, they probably included some for the index increase, but weren't necessarily expecting that extended usage fee. So that's probably where the difference is lying. I see just one, and maybe it's just on my side. If you could scroll up just a little bit in the document right there. At that 82,000, we've got a couple extra zeros if you can get rid of those for me. 82 million.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments?
Echoing what you said, Jenny, that this is approved by budget.
Thanks, Sarah. All right, I'll pass it back to the chair for a vote.
Thank you, Jenny. May I get a motion to approve award item 2?
Sean Connor, so move.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Sean Connor, a second from Joe Arpano. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, motion is adopted. I'll pass it back to Jenny to present award item 3.
Thank you. Through the chair, real quick, if you guys have an award after we go through it, this is a longer agenda, so feel free to hop off if yours has already been approved by the committee and any questions have been answered. And then we do have some single sources. So I spent a little bit more time on those just from a committee perspective, just to give you guys a little bit more background for those, but hopefully they, won't spend too much time on the rest if they're pretty straightforward. For award number 3, this is the real estate directive award. This is, we've negotiated an easement purchase with Cedar Creek Landing Condominium Association to provide additional property rights for a new electric transmission circuit for circuit 663, and that's the San Juan James rebuild project. Cedar Creek Landing Condominium Association Inc. is our recommended awardee in the amount of $100,000. I'll just note that JEA's procurement code exemption does include real estate. However, the real estate directive as written today requires awards committee approval for real estate purchases in between $50,000 and $500,000. For this one, the subject easement will provide additional real estate for construction of the new transmission poles and will account for aerial rights related to sag and vegetation clearance. Transmission engineering is currently working on phase 2 of this project, which started in the fall of 2022. JEA entered into negotiations with the owner in 2021, and after several counter offers, it was determined to be in the best interest of JEA to accept the owner's 3rd counter offer for the property, and that was to stay on to also meet the project and construction timeline. So they did a lot of due diligence, a lot of back and forth, and there's some backup justification as to why we feel like this is a reasonable price. Any questions or comments? All right, I'll pass it back to the chair for a vote.
Thank you. May I get a motion to approve award item 3?
Ricky, so moved.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Ricky Erickson, a second from Joe Arpano. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion is adopted. I'll pass it back to Jenny to present award item 4.
Thank you. Through the chair, award number 4 is a rescind. This is for Northside Generating Station Phase 2 corrective measures. We went out to bid and we received 2 bids and then we received 3 no bids. The companies that did not bid stated that they didn't bid for reasons due to complexity of the work under the transmission lines, working during outages, so that time frame, the specific pipe material, as well as their existing workload, prohibiting them from taking on additional jobs. Additionally, there's a note that there's a lot of unknowns with the dewatering and the pipe bedding materials for this one. So when we reviewed the two bids that were received, the project exceeded the planned budget. So JEA believes it's in the best interest to reevaluate the design and select remedies to address the intent of the project, and we'll develop a new scope of work that can achieve the same or similar results while reducing the project's complexity. And so this request is to rescind with the intent to rebid a new project and scope of work. And I'll just note that all bids that were submitted are held confidential while we rebid, and it's up to 12 months. So we have about a year to keep those confidential and get something back out on the street. Any questions, comments? All right, I'll pass it back to the chair for a vote.
Thank you, Jenny. May I get a motion to approve award item 4?
Smalley, so moved.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Janie Smalley, a second from Ricky Erickson. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion is adopted. I'll pass it back over to Jenny to present award item 5.
Thank you. Through the chair, award number 5 is a bid. This is for JEA's Mayo Substation Phase 1 construction services. This phase will include construction, installation, labor, equipment, and materials required for the install of the switchyard electrical equipment. Reliable Substation Services, Inc. is our recommended awardee in the amount of $9,167,950. We expect this to be completed by the end of December of 2023. We did receive 3 bids, so pretty reasonable competition. But I will note that the bid amounts all within line of each other with the 3 bids were still about 64% higher than our original business unit estimate. And so when JEA reviewed the schedule of values and compared the electrical and civil works, it was determined that the civil work is where the majority of the estimate variance is found.
Hey, how's it going?
So I will pause there, see if there's anything that the committee wants to add, and I'll just ask if David, if you don't mind,
That's what it is. Email said.
muting your
That's what the
phone.
phone call said and the email said.
Or if someone on the host side could mute David, that'd be great. Thank you. Anything you want to add, Brandy, on the budget side, or any questions from the committee? All right, I'll pass it back to the chair for a vote.
Thank you, Jenny. May I get a motion to approve award item 5?
So moved.
A second?
Ricky, second.
We have a motion from Joe Arpano, a second from Ricky Erickson. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion is adopted. I'll pass it back to Jenny to present award item 6.
Thank you. Through the chair, award number 6 is a single source. This is to update the System 1 monitoring system for all electrical generating units. This includes 6 servers, TDI upgrades, VB Online install, and termination services. The work will include enterprise software upgrades as well. And as a note, this project is being performed as a turnkey project performed by the OEM, which is why this is a single source. Bentley Nevada LLC is our recommended awardee in the amount of $437,197. Estimated completion is September 30th of 2023. I'll note JEA has utilized Bentley Nevada's vibration monitoring equipment, which is a standard for GE and Siemens, which has been periodically upgraded and replaced on an OEM basis throughout the various JEA power generating facilities' life since 1996. Portion of the existing equipment and communication software is at the end of its useful life and requires replacement. The most critical, we monitor quite a bit of NGS department monitors quite a bit of the equipment, but the most critical equipment, the turbines, the generators, large pumps, large fans, et cetera, is continuously monitored using this system. And the system provides real-time vibration data that is also stored in a historian. So equipment conditions can be trended over time, and they can identify equipment issues that come up based off of trends. So but I'll also note lastly that JEA and Bentley Nevada have previously negotiated terms and conditions since they are an OEM. So we continue to use those and they will be utilized for this contract. And we've compared other projects, equipment costs, upgrade, service performance at JEA over the overall project cost, and this is deemed reasonable within. Any questions, comments? All right, I'll pass it back to the chair for a vote.
Thank you, Jenny. May I get a motion to approve award item 6?
Sean Connor, so move.
And a second?
Ricky, second.
We have a motion from Sean Connor, a second from Ricky Erickson. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion is adopted. I'll pass it back to Jenny to present award item 8. Note that 7 was deferred.
Thank you. Through the chair, award number 8 is a renewal. This is for plumbing services for JEA facilities. Drew Hartman Plumbing, Inc. is our recommended awardee in the amount of $140,722.47. This is our last renewal. It'll take us through December 25th of 2023. The award amount is based off of the estimated annual spend, and also $75,000 is included for facilities capital planning projects during FY 23 and 24. So that will cover this last year. The capital, as a note, the capital planning team uses this contract reactively when the O&M team identifies unplanned asset replacement throughout the year. So that is an allowance for them to do that. Pricing will remain the same, and the rates are fixed, and they have been for the whole 5-year term. And they've performed well, so no issues from our side in the renewal. Any questions or comments? All right, I'll pass it back to the chair for a vote.
May I get a motion to approve award item 8?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Joe Arpano, a second from Ricky Erickson. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion is adopted. I'll pass it back to Jenny to present award item 9.
Thank you. Through the chair, award number 9 is an emergency award, which is inherently a ratification. So this is for electrical items for Hurricane Nicole. The primary purpose for this purchase was to spot buy electrical material needed for the storm response as part of the restoration efforts after Hurricane Nicole, and to quickly replenish our storm stock items and be prepared for another potential late season storm. We like to do that and stay on top of our storm stock. So that is our process. You know, after every storm, we have developed that over the last year. We've got 2 recommended awardees. Stuart Irby is the first one in the amount of $489,275.40. And then Gresco Supply Inc. in the amount of $28,750. So again, this is spot buy, so just a one-time purchase. We reached out to all of our distributors. It consisted of 5 electrical items that, are primarily used for storm restoration. And because of the urgency to restock the items, and the decision was made to purchase these based on the shortest lead time, not the best price. So JEA paid about a 10% premium over the lowest respondent, but guaranteed delivery for all but one item within 3 weeks, as opposed to the lowest cost item, which had lead times ranging from 8 to 13 months. So no brainer from that perspective. For the item not expedited, Gresco was the only respondent for an insulator that we were looking for, and it was 147 days. But overall, quite a good outcome with this spot buy. Any questions, comments?
Jenny, it's Joe. Is there any concern with FEMA down the road that they could look at this and say, you paid a premium for it, we're not gonna allow it, or are they pretty amenable to, under the circumstances? Obviously the 3rd storm in the last couple of months, it seems.
Yeah. It's hard to tell. I mean, we did competitively bid it, which is
That's the requirement, right?
Yeah, that's the requirement. And how we do that, they don't really dictate. So us doing, looking for a quickest turnaround versus a price, I think that at least we've got the backup to show that, we might have paid a slight premium, but to be able to get the materials we need, that is.
Seems reasonable,
It does.
Okay.
And I also think, this is to restock, right? So.
Yeah. So it'd be used next year.
Use next time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good with that.
And when we do our pricing at the time, we're looking at like an average price in the system. It's,
Right.
all the materials are mixed together. So as long as we're competitively bidding, I think we're fine.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm no FEMA expert, but we're trying to make sure we get those requirements.
Well, the competitive bid, as long as that was done, I think we have covered there. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions, comments? All right, I'll pass it back to the chair for a vote.
Thank you, Jenny. May I get a motion to approve award item 9?
Sean Connor, so move.
And a
Second.
We have Joe beat you to it.
Oh, man.
We have a motion from Sean Connor, a second but from Joe Arpano. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, motion is adopted. I'll pass it back to Jenny to present award item 10.
Thank you. Through the chair, number 10 is another emergency ratification. This is for JEA Fleet Services Light Duty Vehicle Maintenance and Repair Services. I'm going to spend some time talking about this one because this one is it requires a little bit of explanation. So this emergency award, it was for interim services that were provided to support the light duty maintenance and repair for JEA's fleet while we were finishing up a solicitation and award process, as well as to ensure coverage during the storm season as a new vendor was transitioning into kind of full service. So this is a ratification because we've, the emergencies, and when we go through the process under 300,000, we can make the call, not bringing it to the committee, but it has tripped that threshold, which is why you guys are seeing it. But to note, when we're putting in a PO, the funds are being checked at that time, on the back end for informal stuff. So even though it is a ratification to the committee, the funds weren't an issue on the front end. So I just want to make that point. But also, so the recommended awardee is Gary Yeomans Ford, and the award amount is $370,271.49. This was an 8-month award, and the history behind this was the previous service vendor was AutoNation. They had a 3-year contract which expired with 2 one-year optional renewals. So they had agreed to renew. We were trying to renew for both the 2 years. And so as part of trying to finalize that, AutoNation proposed a last-minute increase in their labor rates, which was a 32% increase and was not in line with the market. It was not something we were comfortable doing. So that contributed to the timing of having to put this back on the street, because we were thinking that this was going to be a renewal and that we'd be able to move forward. Because we couldn't do that, and while the new solicitation was being processed, JEA Fleet Services awarded an informal emergency purchase to Gary Yeomans Ford to cover services as well as yard work at Commonwealth and Westside Service Centers. They were willing to commit to a short-term contract, and their hourly rate was much lower than what AutoNation was willing to negotiate with us on those renewals. So they had $110 hour per rate, rate per hour. And then if you compared that to what AutoNation was proposing, it was $165 an hour. And so we originally awarded this for 4 months to kind of get over that hump of finishing the procurement in the amount of $140,000. Thinking that, that would get us through. At response opening, though, we did not get AutoNation. They did not bid, nor did Gary Yeomans Ford. And the vendor, the successful bidder of that was Duval Ford, who had just recently won the medium duty, and they were a new vendor to us. So because they had won both, we wanted to make sure that we had an overlap and a slower transition for them, and to make sure services were being covered. And so we increased the amount of time and the amount of the PO to get us through August, thinking that was going to be enough time. But as that approached, JEA made a decision to further extend basically through hurricane season, so that we would not have any issues with what was going on during hurricane season. And there were a few delays on Duval Ford's side with the installation of additional lifts and equipment needed to assume full responsibility of both light duty and medium duty. So, but they have since gotten that worked out. I think Gary Yeomans has been a great partner. We would love for them to bid, but they are not local, so it's not as easy for them to participate. But they did a great job in supporting us while we needed them. A little history: we had 577 corrective maintenance work orders and 376 preventative maintenance work orders, while over that 8-month period that they supported us. So I will pause, see if you guys have any questions or comments, but I just wanted to give you guys some context on this one.
So Jenny, on the yard work, that's them providing somebody to come up here, is that right?
I'll have to have the business answer that. I don't know I assume so.
It's correct. They come onto our yard and they are there each morning, and they will go through all the vehicles there in the yard, and they'll identify repairs needed. In addition to that, they actually do perform some of the preventative maintenance there in the yard as well.
Okay, so we don't typically take vehicles to Daytona for them to work on, is that correct?
Correct. That is an anomaly. It does occur sometimes on heavier repairs. That was in the past. We don't do that today. But in the past, we have on some heavier repairs taken them down there, but a majority are all done on site at JEA. And it's actually sort of evolved our business model where a lot of our repairs are even now with the new vendor being conducted sort of overnight in the yards instead of bringing them to them, and we can have more fleet uptime. I think some of
Okay,
the
thank you.
people are on, they could speak to it a little bit better if they would like.
No, that answers my question. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Any other questions or comments? All right, I'll pass it back to the chair for a vote.
Thank you, Jenny. May I get a motion to approve award item 10?
Ricky, so moved.
We have a motion from Ricky Erickson, a second,
Second.
and a second from Joe Arfano. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the motion is adopted. I'll pass it back to Jenny to present award item 11.
Thank you. Through the chair, award number 11 is a piggyback off of the Florida Sheriff's Association. This is a ratification. It's an interesting line. We were offered an opportunity to purchase 3 dump trucks for FY23 capital requirements for expansion on the water department side. And Cumberland International Trucks LLC recommended awarding in the amount of $539,693. We think we're estimating receipt of these March of 2023. And just some history. So Cumberland International reached out to us. They informed us they had 3 yard dump trucks that were a result of Orange County ordering them and then canceling them due to deviations in specifications. These units allow JEA to eliminate current rentals that we had in place for the water wastewater expansion that were slated to exist until FY24 due to current lead times. And so additionally, this fulfills an additional unit for FY24. So we'll have 2 in 23 and then a unit from 24 that we'll be using these 3 to cover. We think the first 2 should come in December, and then the third one will be available mid-January. So I think getting them in and up, kind of whatever we've got to do to those, that March timeframe gives us a little leeway there, but that's sometime in that second quarter. So this was a win for us. We are getting rid of rental costs that we would have had for many months that would have equated to almost $5,000 per month. And so we also looked at, the budget that we had for these to account for FY23 and 24, possible price increases. And so these fell right within, that budget. We did a solicitation recently where it was a little bit lower, but these dump trucks actually have larger engines than what we have in our specs, which equates for kind of the majority of the increased cost. But because they were already made, we decided that it was still in our best interest to purchase these, get out in front of those lead times, and get rid of those rental costs. Any questions or comments? All right, I'll pass it back to the chair for a vote.
Thank you, Jenny. May I get a motion to approve award item 11?
Jamie Smalley, so moved.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Janie Smalley, a second from Joe Arfano. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion is adopted. I'll pass it back to Jenny to present our final award item for today.
Thank you. Through the chair, award number 12. This is for JEA Investment Recovery Exterior Equipment Painting Program. Worth Contracting, Inc. is our recommended awardee in the amount of $1,408,931.25. This is a 3-year award with 2 one-year optional renewals. And the initial term of the 3 years will take us through December of 2025. I'll note that we received 4 responses. This was an ITN, and so we asked 3 out of the 4 to participate in BAFOs. You can kind of see where that natural breaking point was, from their original submittals. And we had all 3 submit the BAFOs, and the lowest still after the BAFOs was Worth Contracting, Inc. I'll note the award amount is calculated by using the projected volume of work and the rates provided by the lowest bidder. And when we look at the rates and we compare those to our current rates on average, we're seeing 57% lower rates than the current contract, which is yielding us about $1 million in savings over the 3-year life of this contract. Worth Contracting was our incumbent prior to this current contract, and that was Transformer Maintenance Services, Inc. They are not located locally, and so their costs have grown significantly just due to increase in fuel, hotels, labor as the primary drivers in there that needed the rates increase. So given that they're not local and Worth is, we were excited to see this shift back to the incumbent from the last contract. Really good savings on this. Good job on the ITN approach and the BAFO piece. Any questions or comments? All right, pass it back to the chair for a vote.
Thank you, Jenny. May I get a motion to approve award item 12?
Ricky, so moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Ricky Erickson, a second from Joe Arpano. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion is adopted. The entire agenda representing items 1 through 6 and 8 through 12 is approved for December 1st, 2022. Is there any other business to come before the awards committee at this time? All right. Seeing none, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good week.